The video you're about to watch has been designed to take you deeper, higher, and wider into Yahweh. Enjoy, and please subscribe. Thank you. Father, we just absolutely glorify your name, my King. You know, when I look at picking you in the Spirit, even just soaking right now, it's like the Father saying, a city aligned. A state aligned. There's dimensional shifts that's taken place within the city, within the state, that will affect nations, that will affect literally the country will be affected by what's taking place and what has taken place in the Spirit. I feel that the Father has just poured in a dimension of light within the city. And if you can remember, we spoke about this. Apostle Paul saw something that looked like a diamond, and then he realized that it wasn't a diamond, it was light. And I really believe that the Father has poured a dimension of light, a creative light, into the city that's going to begin to align things, propel things, open things up, and we will literally begin to see dimensions within the kingdom of heaven, within this city opening up, that will affect Louisiana, will affect every state in its surroundings. Father, it's exciting. It's an exciting time to be alive. It's an exciting time to be a Christian. It's just awesome to see what's happening and who we are as the ecclesia begins to arise, begins to wake up, begins to awaken. Father, we are seeing things, we are changing things, we are aligning things. Our eyes are opening up. Matter of fact, we're engaging to an extent within the kingdom of heaven with dimensions and realms and kingdoms that we never thought possible. So it's awesome. It's exciting. Father, our gates is aligning, our gates is opening up, and we're becoming the doors and the gates that you've always wanted us to be. Father, we are taking over the giants and the dragons, and we are aligning those mountains. We are erecting the Prince of Roaring Angels back into their positions. Yes. They are again opening up dimensions and realms for the fullness of the blessing of the ecclesia to come in. And it's an exciting time, Lord. We want to praise and worship you. I also thank you, Father, that there's already been legislation within within the cities, Father, the major cities of the United States. Major legislation has already taken place. And Father, we just want to thank you that as we legislate the death of every fire that is causing havoc, every flood that wants to rise up, every hurricane that wants to set its foot to the shore, Father, we stop it in its tracks. This will be a season where the world will see the legislative power of the sons and daughters. Father, and we even speak to those fires in California, Father, and we command them to die. They take the oxygen out of it, and Father, we speak absolute death to those fires, and that which has been taken will be given back 100-fold. Father, we want to honor you and praise you and worship you, that your sons and daughters will begin to take control of these fires, that we'll understand the legislative power that we have, we'll begin to understand who we are and how we need to control, then govern the earth from out of the kingdom of heaven. And Father, I know that it's just the beginning and it's just something that we are stepping into. So there's a lack of perfection in everything we do right now. But there's a time and a season where we're going to operate this as smoothly as what we have operated our families, as what we have operated our workplaces and our schools. Father, we are beginning to see who we are, and we're beginning to do things in a whole different ballgame. We're beginning to understand what you meant when you said we will do greater things than what you did. But Father, we're also beginning to understand that we can go into the Spirit, and we can see the things you did in the Spirit that wasn't revealed, wasn't written, wasn't spoken. So that's what we're engaging right now, Father, so we can begin to understand and know who and what we are, and how we are to bring that into the earth. Yes. Father, we honor you, we love you, we glorify and magnify you. You're a majestic, beautiful King. In the name of Yeshua. Amen. Okay, wow, how are you guys doing? Okay, so over the last couple of weeks, last 2 weeks, we've done the soul gates, the spirit gates. Start with the spirit gates. And I wanted to start with the spirit gates because obviously the spirit gates, I would say, is one of the most important things that we need to engage. It's one of the biggest gates that we need to keep open. Of course, you get born again, but again, it's not being born again like now I'm a baby and I have to grow. It's being born from above, right? You understand that concept, and I just wanted you guys to be reminded. So my spirit gates needs to be opened, and of course, that is where the Father begins to enlighten me, begins to engage with me, and I begin to understand the things that I need to engage with so that my spirit gates can open, right? Now, I don't want to go through it too intensely, but we've done it. It was the fear of the Lord, engaging and understanding that dimension that the Father wants to step into. Of course, it's walking with the spirit of the fear of the Lord. Reverence, prayer, hope, faith, revelation, intuition, and of course, engaging the heavenly realms, worshiping, understanding how to worship, who you are in worship, and the keys and the power that comes with a son, a daughter that worships in the spirit. Amen. Right, and then we did the soul gates last week, and really all I did was I just spoke on it. Right, I spoke on it. I told you what they were. Tonight we're going to go through the body gates, and it's really not much. There's only 5 of them. And then I want to go and explain and express how to open these gates. What stops these gates, what blocks these gates, and how do we open it. Okay, so we did the soul gates. It was conscious, reason, imagination, and of course imagination is the key to your sight, right? Insight. It's insight. I have a message that I ministered on last week, Sunday, and it was imagination is insight. Amen. Yes, yes. Then we do mind, which is your soul, your will, mind, emotions. It's all part of your soul. We do then emotions. We did your will, your choice. And tonight I want to do the body. It'll be quick, and then I want to go through how to access and how to open these gates. Yes. Amen. Okay, but it's very simple. I'm not going to take too much time on it. We have the eye gate, the nose gate, the ear gate, the mouth gate, and the feeling gate, the feel gate, right, with your hands. And it's very simple. It's very basic. The Father's desire for you is to engage Him with every one of your senses. Of course, the idea is that your senses are aligned with your soul and your body, so that when there's a dimension within the spirit realm that opens up and your soul gate aligns with what you're smelling, it triggers a dimension within the kingdom of heaven and you shift. Same with your taste, same with your sight. And I've said this many times over the last couple of months, over the last couple of years. In the beginning, before I started engaging beyond the veil, I was operating on this side of the veil like everyone else. And for me to engage in the spirit, what I would do is I would set my alarm, and my alarm would go off every 10 minutes. And I did that for a whole year. So for 365 days, every 10 minutes, my alarm went off. And it reminded me to pray in tongues. And that was the engagement into the spirit. And of course now, for me to open these gates, the Father said to me, I want you to have triggers in your physical body that opens the gates. For example, I would stand in front of the mirror, and as I put my shirt on, I would immediately see myself stepping into Christ or being clothed in Him. Yeah. I would smell a rose. I would smell a flower. I would smell something nice like the essential oils. We have hundreds of these essential oils. As a matter of fact, a lady gave us 60 bottles of essential oils from the Young Living collection. And I have a young lady that engages in our teachings that trades oils into our ministry. And it's phenomenal. So we've got hundreds of these oils, and it's just extremely powerful. And the smells triggers dimensions within the kingdom of heaven. It's opened up my smell gates. Whenever I smell something, I can feel the shift, the frequency aligning, how my body increases, the vibration increases, and I shift into the kingdom. Yes, Lord. Okay? Ooh, yes. And of course, that's just the smell. And you've got the ear gates. You've got the eye gates. Whenever I see something, now I say this: if I step into the gym, I'll almost immediately shift into the kingdom of heaven. I know that sounds weird, but that has been my place of engagement for many years. Because when I go into the gym, my physical body is at work, and my soul and my spirit is really not doing anything. All right. Right? It's really not doing anything. So engagement opens up. There's a physical gate for me, and it might be different for you in different places of your life where you can physically see something, and because of the place you look at, something shifts or is recreated for you. I remember doing pull-ups You know what pull-ups is? Chin-ups, where you hold the bar and you pull your body weight up. I did a couple of those, and as I landed on the ground, I was kind of dizzy, and in this dizzy spell, I saw the two kingdoms merge, kingdom of heaven and kingdom of earth. And I started hearing a humming, buzzing sound as the rumbling of the angelic came into the room and started merging with the people that were in the gym at the time that I was there. It was incredible. It sounded like a beehive.
All right.
But it's something that I physically saw, and that it triggers and opens up a gate. That's awesome, right? Exciting.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
And of course, with music, it's where the mouth. If I begin to sing in tongues, or if I begin to open my mouth, sometimes I can be as sober as anyone else. But let me just take the mic and stand in front of a group like this. I haven't done anything. I haven't engaged. I just stand up to take the mic, and I'm drunk. I just start praying. I just say, Father. And in that speaking, in that alignment with the frequency of the letters that comes out of me, it literally takes me into a place where I engage and go into the heavens. It's a gate that's open. And of course, these gates has to be aligned. Because how many of you understand your eyes can be triggered by all kinds of things?
Amen. Amen.
Your nose, your smell can be triggered. You can smell something and think of something perverted. You know, you can see something that is pure and beautiful, but it triggers something perverted in you because of where you've been or what you've done or what you understood and perceived. Right? And that's all of us. That's why we need to clean these physical gates out. That's why you also have to watch what you hear, watch what you see, watch what you touch. It is the desire of the Father for these gates to be aligned, so that we can, of course, walk in the purity that we're called to walk in. And everything we do, I remember, and I know this might not align with everyone's theology, but I seriously do not care. I love you and I honor you, and you can believe whatever you want to. But I remember lying on the tattooed bed, and this lady was tattooing this section of my arm, which is excruciating. Don't look at me with that tone. And she was coloring in, and I was literally thinking to myself, there's no way that I'll be able to do this tattoo. She just started. I'm already in pain. I'm not going to be able to go through it. But I felt that the pain was a trigger for me to go into the spirit. And of course, the deeper I go into the spirit, the less I feel the pain.
All right.
So this was a trigger for me through pain to go into the spirit, and I literally engaged into a dimension within the kingdom of heaven that I've never engaged in before. Because pain is also a trigger, because it's part of the physical body. Now, pain can be one of two things. It could be the agonizing, terrible, horrible thing that we all hate. Or if it's something that you just cannot deal with, something that's there and you can't do anything about it. Now, of course, we believe that we can do something about it, but sometimes it's there and you just can't do anything about it, right? Make that a trigger for you to go into the spirit, because that is a place that if you really engage it hard enough, it will shift your physical body out of the pain that it's in and propel you into a dimension or a gate within the kingdom of heaven.
Yes, Lord.
And I get that, I understand that. Ian Clayton speaks of his pain level. He says he at average, now it's changed because of decisions he's made. So it's changed. It's not as high as what it used to be. But he would operate at a pain level between 8 and 9 out of 10. All the time. And so that was his trigger to go into the kingdom of heaven. You know, I look at sons and daughters, friends of mine that struggles with certain problems, certain things in their lives. And I've urged, and for me, I don't have physical pain problem, but every now and then I would hurt my back, or every now and then I would hurt my knee. The other day I did the full split. I don't know if you ever tried that. If you've never done it before and it accidentally happens, it's extremely painful. And so I actually tore something in my knee, and that pain was a trigger into the kingdom of heaven. You know, and as a matter of fact, it was a trigger, but I said to my body, because my spirit overshadows me, and I said to my body, because I overshadow you, I'm not going to allow you to submit to this pain. So it happened on the Wednesday morning when I went out of my roller skates. A 43-year-old on roller skates is what you call a bad idea. Okay, it's the splitting, it's the evidence of it. And so it happened early in the morning, and of course then my neighbor looks at me, he's about 150, he says to me, old bones heal slowly. I very kindly and nicely told him to shut the uppy. But yeah, no, I guess he's got to add a point there. but that was excruciating. So the rest of my day was in pain. The Sunday, the same, it was the Wednesday. The night I had to go train. So I did my legs, which was excruciating. But I felt that's what I needed to do, to overshadow my body with my spirit.
Amen.
I did the spinning. I did the weight training, then I did the spinning, and the night I could hardly sleep, but it was a trigger for me to go into the kingdom of heaven. Of course, your night sleep is your night watch. That's the place that you want to engage the heavens. Right? But don't just sleep to rest, but sleep to engage. It should be your trigger, it should be your focus. I woke up in pain, but I said to my body, I love you, but this is what we're going to do. I did that spinning class at 5 o'clock the very next day after I hurt myself. When the class was done, my leg was completely healed.
Amen.
That's less than a day.
Yes.
And so we need to understand that once these gates are open, we have authority over who the Father has destined us to be. I am no longer flesh, which means my flesh is not allowed to rule.
Right.
Yes.
Woo.
That's right.
Yes, Lord.
Now, my flesh is not bad. Right? The Bible talks about the flesh being bad, but it means it's a spirit. It's not the actual flesh.
Yeah.
But my actual body is not bad. My actual body is beautiful, and we love our bodies. And the problem is that we have misunderstood that. That's why we don't love our bodies.
Come on.
And if you don't love your body, you are not in unity with your being. Now, I had that for many years, and my body took me into court, into the mobile court, and I was found guilty. Immediately after that case, I was called by a masseuse that does deep tissue massaging and body alignment. She's been working on my body, myself and my wife, for the last year, and my body is completely aligned. Because my body won the case. And of course that got me to the place of understanding, well, my body is actually really important. I need to eat the right food. I need to do some kind of exercise. Now, I've been training for 30 years, so my desire and my intensity in training is different than most people. You know, but every human being on the planet has to look after their physical body. Otherwise, you're not going to fulfill your destiny. You're not going to become what you're supposed to be. Amen. Right? That's why we have to eat right. We have to kind of exercise in some way, fashion, or form. Whether you just walk, it doesn't matter what you do. Exercise is not the beast's needs. But it is something we need to kind of focus on, because if I pay my soul attention by reading and studying and meditating on the Word of God, and I pay my spirit attention by going into the kingdom of heaven, what am I doing for my body?
Yes. Yes.
What am I letting in through my eye gates? What am I letting in through my nose gates, through my ear gates, through my mouth gates, through my feel gates? What am I letting in?
Yes.
So the Father really just wants us to begin to understand where we need to go, what we need to align, how we need to shift into the things that He has for us.
Thank you, Lord.
Amen.
Opening these gateways, it's understanding that there's a problem. And it's not a major problem, it's only 3 things. It's just me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
So the problem you have with your soul gates, spirit gates, and your body gates is me, myself, and I. If you don't know who that is, look in the mirror. In Galatians it says, but I say, walk by the Spirit, and you will not carry out the desires of the flesh. Now understand, the desires of the flesh is not what my physical flesh wants.
All right.
Okay? It's what my soul has projected into my body, and so my body is accustomed to these things. For example, I drive in my car with the windows open and I smell deep fried chicken.
Yeah.
A trigger is pulled and I have to stop and eat the If I say it any other way, it sounds bad. But that's basically, I have to go eat that which has basically a whole cup of oil in it, because it's triggered something. How many of you have had that?
Yes.
Kentucky Fried Chicken, I don't know, if I smell that, I'm hungry.
Yes, yes.
And they're just talking about it right now. I'm thinking, okay, if I shorten this a little bit, we can actually get it open. Because it's a trigger. It's a smell that opens up a doorway.
Oh, yes.
And of course, you don't smell broccoli and think, oh, hallelujah. As a matter of fact, I came into my house this afternoon, smelled broccoli, and said, who did that? Who farted? For the flesh sets its desires against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh. For these are the opposition in one another, so that you may not do the things that you please. Paul made a statement in Romans. He said, I think it's Romans 7 or Romans 8. The things I want to do, I don't do. The things I don't want to do, I keep on doing. Why? Because the flesh was subject to do certain things.
Yes.
My flesh only knows to do certain things according to what my soul has aligned my body to believe. That's why there's a retransformation that needs to take place. That's why my spirit has to overshadow my soul and my body, because my spirit is the only perfect part of me. That's why I have to understand the concept that I'm not born again. I'm born from above. It's really just a reactivation of a fully matured, grown, wise, prosperous, full of understanding, full of revelation being that's just been deactivated by sin.
All right.
Because my spirit doesn't have to grow. I don't have to. My spirit is not born again and now I'm a baby. My soul comes to the place where it has to be retransformed into what it's meant to be. So it goes through the process of learning the new. It gets to the process where it learns the new things my spirit's downloading into it. That's why it feels like now I'm a baby and I'm learning all these new things. No, that's your soul.
That's your soul. Amen.
My spirit, when I'm fully activated as a spirit being, my spirit knows all things. It's perfect. It has no problems. That's why the gates has to be aligned first. And it's not gates that I have to open by growing. It's gates that I have to open by re-perceiving and having the understanding of who I am as a spirit being. That's why I have to activate it by walking in the kingdom of heaven, living beyond the veil.
Amen.
Now, we have to look at things like this: self-centeredness, selfishness, self-importance, self-promotion, self-control, which is, of course, if you listen to all these things, it's not all bad, but it's the alignment and the propulsion of all things into place. Self-respect, self-esteem, self-worth, self-image, self-reliance, self-sufficiency, self-belief, self-righteousness, self-help, self-expression, self-gratification, self-indulgence. You might think that all these things are bad, but it's logic. If you listen to them, they're not all bad. Some of them are part of the fruits. It's part of the things that we need to engage. But of course, we need to understand that the Father wants a balance in who you are.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
Now, I can't just be spirit.
All right, come on.
Right?
That's right.
There's a very stupid saying that really makes no sense. It says you're too heavenly minded to be of any earthly good. We need to understand that's not possible. Because if you're heavenly minded, you're going to be very earthly. You're going to be a benefit to everything, because it's the heavenlies, the meditation of what takes place there that I legislate into the earth.
Yes, thank you, Lord.
But it really depends on what is driving our lives. So you look at these things I just talked about. It's all about self, me, myself, and I. But there's dimensions within all of that I need to control and balance out. If we are to reflect the glory of God and flow with His life, then me, myself, and I have to die. That sounds so poetic. Our souls is supposed to get revelation and direction from God on the inside. That's where I first meet with Him. That's the kingdom of God. How many understand? That's where you first met Yahweh.
That's right.
Because you gave your life to Him and He came into you. From there you started slowly progressing into Him.
Amen.
And of course then when you're in Him, you're seated in heavenly places.
Yes.
In Christ Jesus. So it's a shift going upwards. I say upwards, but it's one kingdom to another.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you.
Now let's look at some common blockages. Of course, sin, like unforgiveness, rebellion, independence, and self-centeredness. These are things that most of us have dealt with in our lives. But let me remind you, self-centeredness is not something you deal with and never experience it again. Right? Unforgiveness is not something you can deal with once. Because it's going to happen in your life where someone's going to come against you, do something, say something that's going to offend you, and you're going to have to forgive.
Yep.
You have strongholds like mindsets, beliefs, lies, things that we were taught through our lives. You know, I always say this, if I've been taught from the very day I was born that grass is blue and that blue is actually green, by the time I reach a certain age and people start telling me, listen buddy, grass is not green, not blue, it's green. Then it's going to be a process for me to change my understanding of what I've believed all my life.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, it's in our belief system, in our religious understanding and perception of who Yahweh is. There's a lot of what we have been taught that needs to be eliminated and needs to be aligned and changed.
Amen.
It's a process of alignment that we have to go through. Negative emotions like fear, doubt, and of course unbelief. Of course, the demonic in our lives that we don't believe we have. But familiar spirits, generational spirits. That's why, if you remember, we ministered on a timeline that we can shift into. And it goes hand in hand with the mobile court. So I want to go down my timeline and I want to see where the things that's affecting me today happen so I can deal with it in the courts so that I can be propelled to my tomorrow. Because the idea of the Holy Spirit and being in Holy Spirit and being consumed by Holy Spirit is that I live in my tomorrow, not in my today.
All right.
And I can only really have full effect of my tomorrow today if I've dealt with my yesterday.
All right.
And of course, we've done familiar spirits. I would say 95, if not 99.9% of most Christians have familiar spirits. That doesn't mean you're demon possessed.
Right.
It means that they hover around you because of generational things that happen, bondages, curses, things spoken, things done. They hover around you, stay around you, and they just torture you in small little ways. Like, for example, you come walking in on Sunday and the pastor is busy speaking to someone else, doesn't see you, and immediately you feel rejected.
Yeah.
Right.
No reason whatsoever, but the familiar spirit says, they do it again. They don't even see you. You're invisible. They hate you. I think they might be racist.
You should leave.
You should leave. Don't come back. Go somewhere else.
Yeah.
They don't love you. Matter of fact, nobody loves you. Then, of course, you look at deception, confusion, and control.
Yes. Yes.
Let's look at the mind gates. These are things that blocks your mind. Strongholds, words spoken, words received, curses, fear, false doctrine. These are things that you have to take down your bloodline and deal with it individually. It might take months, might take years, but it's your responsibility to find out, is there a stronghold in my mind? How do I perceive and think regarding this, this, and this? What's holding me back? What's stopping me from moving forward in my mind gate? Your imagination, insight, images seen or imagined, TV, film, books, fantasy. Fantasy is probably the most critical because we have fantasized so much, men and women, right? Women with the romance novels, men with pornography.
Yes.
It's the same thing, ladies. It's the same thing because it gives you an idea of what it should be like, and then it's not like that, and it builds up a way to perceive things that kicks against what it is right now. That's why marriages is a problem. Same with pornography.
Yeah.
Men wants it in a certain way, wants a relationship to be a certain way, and it can't be like that.
That's right.
Because what has been given is demonic, and it's out of alignment.
Yes.
So we need to deal with it because your fantasies and what you've engaged in previously is to be your imaginative trigger into the inward sight.
All right.
To that which the Father wants to show you through your spirit to your soul. And if that gate's closed, if you're still fantasizing, if you still hang on the things that you learned, the TV shows, the movies, the books that you learned, the games that you played, even the things you see on the internet, then that gate's not going to open. It's not going to propel you into the place of sight that you're called to. Emotions gate. Rejection, disappointments, unforgiveness, betrayal. How many of you had any of that?
Yes.
Well, let me tell you, everyone had all of that. The disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. Rejection after rejection after rejection. And maybe most of the time, it's not even you really being rejected. You just feel rejected. Because we are run by our feelings.
Come on.
Right? That emotional gate is not shut or it's not open or aligned. So someone might reject you, and of course we have to remind ourselves rejection is a choice. Well, I can't choose whether you reject me or not, but I can choose whether I'm going to feel rejected or not.
Come on now.
Because if I'm intact with my emotions, then I'm not going to receive the rejection you give me.
Yes.
Amen.
It's going to run off me like water off a duck's back.
Yes.
Now, of course, I don't want to shut my emotions down. Rejection is, that feeling is not a bad feeling. It's not nice to be rejected. But you've got 5 minutes to feel rejected, then deal with your issues.
All right.
Come on now.
And I always give my being the freedom to feel whatever it wants to. But it has a very limited time to it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I need to understand, you cannot not eat sugar all the days of your life. Your body's going to want it.
Yep.
You can't never eat anything that you love ever again because you want to punish your body. Your body's going to crave it. And it's going to want it. And it's going to get it some way.
Man, get that fried chicken.
So I always, me and my family, we've decided this. If you want to be angry, you can be angry. But in your anger, don't do stupid things. Like my son gets angry and then he punches the TV. That's the problem. That's also 2 week, what do you call it? But he's not allowed to do anything, go anywhere.
Time out.
Grounded. He got grounded for a week, and it was a second. You know, it was a TV in their room that they played Xbox on. But he's allowed to get angry, but you have to watch what you do when you get angry.
Yes.
But you can be angry, but don't sin.
Right.
It's your action that's the problem, and so we needed to deal with the action.
Yes.
And he wasn't impressed by it, but he needed to understand. We needed to deal with it.
Amen.
How are you guys doing?
Good.
Okay, we're looking at your conscience. Sin. Now, we've talked about it because the more you do something, the more your conscience get seared, dubbed out. So the more you do something, the less you think it's wrong. That's why habitual sins are such a problem.
Right.
Because we do it so often that we eventually don't feel that it's really a blockage or a problem or something we need to stop doing. So that's why we want to go on your timeline. You want to step out of yourself. That's key. That's key. You have to every now and then step out of yourself. I know that sounds, how do you do that? Well, you're a spirit being. You step out of your soul and your body. Once you step out, you look at the situation from outside. You see what the problems are.
Yes.
That's why your timeline is key. Because when you're in the spirit, you're outside of time and space. So you can look at any day, any time, any season you were in, and what happened in these times, what blocked you, what stopped you, what's propelled you, or what's holding you back. Deception, pride, independence, judgment. Now, of course, this is judgment to death, not judgment to life. Because if you wanted to know who your biggest judge is, it's not Yahweh, it's not your church family, it's you.
Amen.
Your biggest bully, your biggest critic, your biggest hater. It's you. Criticism, defensiveness. Unmet needs that affect our souls, desires, and motives. Unhealed hurts affect our emotions. Unrestored issues affect our trust and foster doubt. Sin and rebellion will dull our conscience so that things no longer seem wrong, so that we become comfortable with our weakness and patterns of sin. And eventually they seem to us as to be normal, acceptable behavior. That's a problem in society. That's a gate that does not even exist anymore. Because we have been taught by society, if you're not a Christian, that there's no such thing as sin. I remember client after client of mine when I was a personal trainer speaks to me and they would say, well, there's no such thing as sin. What do you mean? I heard it before, but there's no such thing as sin. Do whatever you do, whatever you want, just know that your conscience has to be clear. That's why we have the mess we have in our society, right?
Yes.
Now let's think, how can we open our gates? How can we keep them open? Whatever it is that block our gates, we must own, confess, repent of, and renounce. This is your responsibility. This is what you have to do. That's why, again, that timeline is so important. You want to go back and find what needs to be done. You want to apply the blood of Jesus, that there is no guilt, shame, or condemnation for us. We receive forgiveness and cleansing. Cleansing the gateways by the blood of Jesus is essential to fully open the flow. Remind yourself continuously about the power of the blood. And of course, the blood of Yeshua is light. Do you know that? Ask Thomas.
Yep.
Now the blood of Yeshua was shed, but the resurrected body, the blood was light.
Yes, Lord.
And of course, my resurrected state as a glorified being will be a son of light. Because I live in the light. He is the light. I'm in him. I live for the light. And of course, scientists have proven that if you can operate at the speed of light, you live outside of time and space. Amen. So as ones who worship God that is light, we live in him. He is light, which means we are light. Therefore, we live outside of time and space. That's why I worship him in spirit. In spirit is in light. When I worship him in spirit and in light, I operate outside of time and space so that I can deal with these things. So that I'm no longer affected by what happens in the earth. I'm an alien to this world. Awesome, right? I would go as far as to say that the key to everything we need to open is the gate of first love. That is, you love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, body, soul, and strength. Going back to that very encounter you had when you first met that. Wow, you are incredible. How many I understand it's so easy to lose that very first passion that you had, even husband and wives. It's so easy to lose that fiery, burning passion we had in the beginning. Right? But well, it's just now, just something we do. We love each other, we care for each other. I hug you, I kiss you, I cuddle you, we make love, we have children, blah, 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 blah. I love you. You know that, right? It's what it becomes. But the Father wants you to get to that place in your walk with him where you can't wait to go to bed because you're going to spend time with him. You can't wait to wake up because you're going to spend time with him. You can't wait to do anything or everything because you're going to be with him. Amen. It's understanding the dimension of intimacy that's not natural to us. Let me understand, it's not natural to be married. Don't look at me with that tone. It's not natural. It's not something we crave. It's not something we want. It's something we crave and want until we have it. Then I just want to be alone. Just get me alone. I just want to spend some time with myself. Stop smoking that stuff. It's just not natural for us. So it has to be a dimensional shift, a change that takes place because, see, we are so bride-minded that we can't understand what the Father calls us forth beyond the veil as body. Because I don't want to be separated of this. I love being in my body. I love this. I love spending time with myself. I go to the gym to be alone. Now, I'm with other people and I go with my wife. Sometimes we do spinning classes together. We do aerobic classes together. I love being with her. But I love being with myself. And so when we begin to understand that dimension of intimacy, when I shift into him and I'm the body and he is the head, it's a whole different place. I can't want to be alone because we are one.
Right.
But the bride has a whole different side to it.
Come on.
Just give me some time. Give me some space. I'll give you some space. This gate is often the most damaged by our natural experiences of hurt, pain, and rejection. How many of you ever had a breakup?
A breakup?
A divorce. It's not nice.
All right.
You know, I remember one of my Sunday school teachers, matter of fact, the minister that ministered the day that I gave my life to Yeshua, he was teaching on some stuff, and one of the examples he used of the problem with sexual encounters before marriage is that he took all these different types of colors, colored papers, and he stuck them together. He will take blue and orange and stick them together and wait until the glue is dry. Then he'll pull it off, and there'll be a piece of the green stuck to the blue. Yep. Then he'll take a red, and he'll put it onto that and stick it and wait until the glue is dry. Then he pulls it off. And then there on the original piece of paper, there'll be the two other colors. And so he did with about 5 or 6 colors. And it basically came to the conclusion that now, after you pull it off, after you have to separate yourself from this person, you have all these other colors attached. Because every time you break away from somebody, a piece of you stays behind. Right? And it's extremely painful. It's extremely painful. And so we need to understand this is things that happened in our past that keeps us from intimacy with Yeshua. Like things we say, we get hurt in a relationship when we say just out loud, even in our subconscious, I will never do that again. I will never do that again. And then before you know it, you're in lust again, or in love, or whatever you want to call it. And you go through the same breakup, and the same thing happens, and you say, well, I'll never do that again. Then you get married, and you're in a process. It's working, it's going well, but you meet Jesus, and subconsciously you said, I'm never going to fall in love again. So you struggle to really have that intimacy with your wife and with Yeshua. because of covenants we've made, right? That's why we have to go through the timeline and break the things off of us so the gates can open up.
Amen.
And of course, it's the gate of first love. Renouncing inner vows, repenting of fear and forgiving hurts. We invite him into our spirit and out through our soul and body by deliberately opening the door. Right? Revelation 3:20. Jesus is knocking. The door handle is on your side and it is up to us to open it. We give God first love, first place, first priority. That's what's going to open this gate for you. And of course, this is the key to all the other gates.
Thank you, Lord.
Right? Why? Because he's the key.
He is the key.
So if he's the key and you have it in your hands, every other door will open up. Opening the spirit gates. In our relationship of intimacy with God, we act in faith and meditate on each gate, surrounding our spirits to him, surrendering our spirits to him. We pray in tongues, open it up and welcome the glory and fire of God's presence to come through. And this is something you do constantly. And that's what I always say. When you're in the kingdom of heaven and you are surrounded by his glory and his fire and your spirit man's inside of him, when you come back into the natural realm, open up your chest, open up your spirit cavity and let all of that out into your soul, into your body, into the earth. It aligns things, it changes things. When it sears and burns, the gates open. It gets rid of that which is in the way.
That's good. That's so good. That's good.
Thank you.
Exciting, right?
Yes.
An example of something we would pray to open this gates like this. You don't have to write this down. It's going to be recorded. It's on Facebook now that we're live on Facebook. And it's going to be on YouTube. Father, I choose to open the gates of revelation in my spirit. You have to choose to open these gates.
Yes.
And of course, your spirit gates is key to every other gate opening up, soul and body.
Yeah.
I open it and yield to your glory.
Thank you.
I receive and release the power of God. Through this gate, I begin to receive revelation and kingdom, of your kingdom. This is the revelation gate we're talking about. But there's any other gate. You do a similar type of prayer.
Thank you, Lord.
So that it will change my soul into the image of the Son of God who abides in me. And of course, remind yourself, it's persistence and diligence that's the key to your success in this. Because it's not going to happen the first time. Why not? Because it's not something that we can even frame in our natural perception. If a gate's been shut for 2 years, a month, longer than 21 days, it's a habit.
Yeah.
It's not just going to change because you prayed a prayer.
All right now.
That's a process you have to go through. It's diligence, constantly knocking at the door. I do not want to continue with this. Ouch. Last time I did that, I broke the pulpit. It was not very sturdy. We can work on all the gates at one at a time or in groups, but we must pray until we start to see results. This is something you have to continuously do. Same as a living sacrifice. Same as walking with the seven spirits. Same with engaging into the kingdom of heaven. It's not something you can just do once and say, oh, it didn't work. Something you have to consistently do. How are you guys doing?
You're good.
Thank you, Lord.
Okay, opening your soul gates. The soul gates are often influenced by demonic familiar spirits and our sin nature, which we know must be crucified with Christ and reckoned dead daily. Take up your cross daily. It's not something you can just do once.
Amen.
Because Satan is like that dog that returns to his own vomit.
Yeah.
He's going to come back. And I can bind him today. I can take him to court today. If he finds access in my life through a bloodline, through an act of sin, through a disobedience, through anything, he will be back. And it's the same with your soul, actually. If your soul has any reason to reattach itself to your spirit, it will. That's why your spirit has to overshadow your soul at all times, so that you can continually walk as a free spirit being that overshadows soul and body. Because I see it all the time. I see it all the time. How men and women come to this meeting. They get set free. They start walking in the spirit. And before you know it, soul's in charge again.
All right. Come
Help
on.
us, Lord.
It's not something you can just stop and say, oh, it didn't work. Well, it worked for a while, and then it stopped. I can engage, but now I can't engage anymore. It's something you have to consistently do.
Work on it. Gotta work on it.
As gateways begin to open, we can expect warfare from our soul as the kingdom influence begins to exert itself.
Warfare.
Your soul does not like change.
No,
Do
sir.
you remember when you got born again, how it kicked against everything you did?
Yeah.
It's not going to stop now.
All right.
Remind yourself, sin is nice. You don't have to, you don't sin because, oh, it's the most terrible thing I've ever
All
done.
right. Come on.
No, it's nice. Your body enjoys sin. That's why you keep on doing it. Especially habitual sin. Your body wants it. So it doesn't want to stop. It doesn't want that gate open.
All right.
That gate doesn't want to be open. The way you see and perceive things, you don't want to change. How many of you like change? We don't like change. It's not in our nature to change. Why? Because we're born into sin.
Yeah.
So you have to change your nature with the DNA. That's why we eat of Him and drink of Him. That's that covenant of intimacy with Him. By eating of Him and drinking of Him. Communion. Because it changes my DNA. It realigns my soul and my body as my spirit begins to overshadow and overtake.
Yes, yes.
What are you guys doing? We have to take back possession of our souls, and this possesses anything resisting there, demonic spirits, blockages, strongholds, control, or anything else. And remind yourself that familiar spirits, they have legal access. That's why they hang around.
All right.
That's why we have to take them into the court and deal with it. That's why your bloodline, that's why you don't never want to cut your bloodline off. And I've said this many, many times. You don't want to cut your bloodline, because if you cut your bloodline, everything that was meant to flow through that bloodline is stopped. That includes mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. All flows that's meant to govern you or even propel you and bless you stops. Okay, and you're like, well, my bloodline is demonic. Well, align it. Let the blood of Yeshua run through it. Remind yourself that it is pure light. It recreates and realigns.
Man.
That's why we don't cut stuff off in the bloodline. We always just cleanse it and realign it.
Yes.
Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Lord. Woo. Thank you, Lord.
Get rid of the blockages. Get rid of, see, if there's a demonic spirit, a familiar spirit, it's there because it has access.
Have access. That's it.
And we have to get rid of the access.
Yes. Yes.
Again, we act in faith. This time speaking to our soul and yielding control to the direction of our spirit. I remind you that your spirit has to be in control. Why? Because my spirit's in Christ, Christ seated on the inside of me on the throne. And my spirit has to be on that throne in Christ, overshadowing my soul and my body. At all times. Take possession of the gateway and place Christ in the center of it. You have to remind yourself of this all the time, constantly. I do nothing outside of Christ. Nothing outside, anything outside of Christ is sin. It's like operating outside of faith. It's like operating outside of obedience. It is not part of what the Father has. Every encounter you have outside of Christ is demonic.
Amen.
We yield the soul's gateways to the dictates of our spirit. Key. We allow the life and glory of God to flow through them to the body, influencing and dictating its actions. It's all about understanding the flow.
Right.
That's why we don't cut anything off. There has to be a continuous flow of the fullness of the glory of the Father, Holy Spirit, Yeshua, His blood, dimensions of His glory, His fire, His life, the living word, the written word, the spoken word, which is all Him, rushes through me. It's that constant flow of life and light that rushes through my being. And it's my spirit that then overshadows my soul and my body to bring all of that into fruition in who I am.
Right.
Lastly, repent.
Yes.
Whatever gate is shut, whatever gate's not open in your life, it's your fault. No, but it's my parents. And my parents are terrible people. It's what I've been watching. It's what I've been pushed into. It's what I was born into. It's you.
It's me.
Take responsibility of your life.
Amen.
And that's key. That's key. You know, in my house, I might be seen as a whoop, but I take responsibility for any and every fight me and my wife has. If anything happens in my life, I'm the one, in my family, in my marriage, I'm the one that will go apologize. She does not have to apologize, no matter what she did. If she does something wrong, it's because I did something wrong.
All right.
That's just what the Father showed me. To have a successful marriage, take responsibility. Take responsibility of every action.
Amen.
Amen.
And I have seen how that will change my wife's perception. She's not one that goes around saying sorry. No matter what's going on. She's just not like that. She's not inclined to say or apologize for anything.
All right.
But when I apologize and I say sorry, then she would say, baby, you know you didn't do anything wrong with me. I'm sorry. But I had to make that decision. Am I gonna step down and apologize for something I didn't do so that there could be peace? Because a happy wife equals happy life. Don't look at me with that tone. That's the princess in the house.
Come on now.
And of course, this is just a little nugget. If your kids is more important to you than your husband or your wife, you have major issues in your marriage.
That's good.
Major, that's right.
Kids are more important.
That's right. Yes. Out of order. Yes.
Yes, Lord.
Yes.
We repent of allowing any demonic spirit access through the individual gateways of our soul, acknowledging our sin and taking responsibility for not guarding the gates. We take the blood of Jesus by faith to wipe the gateway clean and redeem it. Continuing by exampling, we continue by praying and understanding that this is something I have to do consistently. Not something I can do once and then stop. And then we get back to the persistence and diligence. Right? When the life of God begins to flow, something is, sometimes it's just a trigger. It's something small that happens and it can just take you back. But again, when it starts flowing, you don't need much to align. Once it's aligned, the flow just goes. And it's a strong flow. How you guys doing? So the Father wants you to know and understand that it is your responsibility to open these gates. We've gone through every single one of these gates, and I want to go through them just quickly before I close, and I want you to be reminded of it because it is your responsibility to engage it. It's your responsibility to go home and to do it. We look at the body gates, and it's the eye gate, the nose gate, the ear gate, the mouth gate, and the feeling gate. Deal with those gates in your life. You look at your soul, it's your conscious, reason, imagination, mind, emotions, choice, and will. Deal with it. Then the spirit is the fear of, well, it's the prayer, fear of God, intuition, revelation, worship, hope, faith, and reverence. Engaging in these gates, going into the heavens, and let the blueprints of the kingdom of heaven literally smear itself off on you. And the Father's desire for us is obviously, once these gates are aligned and the flow of His glory begins to go through our beings, everything and all things becomes possible. Yes. Things change and align and fall into place according to what's on your scroll and what you're destined for. I've seen alignments take place and financial breakthrough just comes supernaturally.
Yeah.
I've seen, as prophesied over a lady once, I said to her that you will have a revelation of the love of the Father and you will instantly lose weight. She was massively overweight. And it's difficult to prophesy something like that over a lady. You know, you don't want to do that. You don't want to offend her. You don't want to speak of something that's obviously logic to her. No one is overweight and think I'm fine.
That's right.
But no one is. Everybody knows. You don't have to tell somebody they're fat. They know it. They know it's a problem. They know it's an issue. They know they need to deal with it.
Yeah.
So I just spoke to her and said, the Father is going to align you with His love and it's going to instantly get you to lose weight. I got a message from that friend of mine that brought her to the meeting, and he said something happened in her life. A trigger was pulled, and she instantly started losing weight. Because you got the revelation of the love of Yahweh.
Amen.
That's exactly what happens. Your body is aligned, your spirit is aligned, your soul is aligned, and instantly there's results. The gates just open and the floodgates comes flowing in. That's exciting. Let's stand. Thank you, Father. We glorify and magnify your awesome name. Thank you, Yahweh. Father, we just want to thank you and praise you for everyone in this room, every gateway that's shut that's about to open, every familiar spirit that has rights that's been closed and shut down and has to go, the life and the fullness, the return to the first love, the will, the mind, the emotions, the alignment of the soul, the alignment of the body, every feeling, every one of the senses just align and open up, the body of the spirit just consumed with your glory, your fire, being aligned in its full capacity, and the fullness of your glory just beginning to flow through us as you begin to erect us into the position of that which is written on our scrolls, and the sons and daughters begin to legislate the things into the earth as we meant to. Of course, it's first in myself, then in my family, then in my town, then in my city, then in my state, then in my nation, then in the world. We have the ability and the capacity to then from the world go into the universe, from the universe to go into all creation. And it's the Father's desire for us to begin to understand that we are co-ed with Him, and we are meant and designed and created to run all kingdoms with Him. And so, Father, in this time, we just want to thank you and praise you, Father, as you begin to propel your people deeper into revelation and understanding. We're going to this place that you have designed for us. And it is beautiful, it is awesome, and we love you and praise you for it. Father, I pray a blessing over everyone in this room. I pray for favor, those listening on YouTube and Facebook. Father, I pray that you propel your people deeper into who you are, align them, bless them, consume us with your presence and your glory, Father. This generation, this company of people is going to run with all of what you have. We're going to engage in the new, drink of this wine. And we love you for it, Father. Thank you, my King. In the name of Yeshua. Amen.